Hello, my gorgeous friends. It's your friend Kevin. This is your Divine Daily Blast, but you're probably wondering why I am all dolled up in my boy drag. Well, that's because I've got to go to court this morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time for something that happened in July. Rather unpleasant situation, and I won't go into details because why bother? But interesting, I set myself up for recording this yesterday, pre-record it if you will, to send it out today. Well, my technical stuff, all of this equipment and the fairies had different ideas. I recorded the whole thing, got in deep, and then went to upload it, and I get this loud squealing, which usually happens when the editing program I use, which is called Ecamm Live, that works through MacBook. There you can plug all of your components into one little machine, plop it on, and it all goes. Click, click, we're done. However, if the microphone isn't connected correctly, it makes this long squealing noise. Well, at the end of all of that, I just felt like I just need to put all this to bed. But this morning I get up in my meditation, do I repeat? And I get immediately from my guides and angels, there is no repeat. What can I use the same card I used yesterday? Yes, but deliver a different message because it's on a different day and we're in a different time space continuum. So that, my loves, is a long way of saying we've got the Divine Daily Blast, not exactly the same as yesterday, but the same cards, perhaps a slightly different message. Let's go. Enough waffling. Let's get to work. Here we go. We've got the Angel Numerology number 2 day today. Keep the faith. Be diplomatic. Watch your negative thinking. Go very gently and harmoniously forward. Be supportive and considerate, sensitive to yourself. So if you've got some stuff going on, my loves, watch it. Be okay with it. Have yourself a little personal kiki, if you will. Now, the moon has moved into the flashy sign of Leo. Now, Leo, of which I have a rising, or my ascendant sign is in Leo, that's kind of how you show the world who you are, what you're all about. Well, it's quite flashy. The energies could be a little bit spiky or spicy or, let's say, different. Don't have to get in that. And for you, the energies do not have to be that way. Typically, when I encounter these kind of flashy, kind of awkward moods and energies, I sort of step away. Don't let anyone else's bad mood rain on your parade. I was going to say something else, but then that would be rude. What else can I say about today? Be abundant. I am abundant. Be healthy. I am healthy. Be loving. I am love. Be protective. I am protected. All of these things. I am on the right path for the best divine benevolent outcome in all areas of my life. So it is. Even when you come across life's potholes on your wild adventure, you're on the best divine benevolent outcome plan. It just happens to be a bump in the road. That's all you've got to look at it like that. It just happens to be one of life's detours. It is, for me personally, maybe different for you, because if some of you are experiencing really catastrophic changes, and let's face it, we have. There have been a lot. There are lots and lots of people who feel displaced, who feel marginalized, who feel put upon. Now, my friends, that's real. All you can do, if that's what you're looking at, is begin to start affirming that somebody somewhere that's non-physical has got your back. Lean into that. I know it's really challenging when we're all facing something a little bit awkward and difficult and different to look at it that way, but my friends, we have to. Today is your canvas. Paint a day of endless possibilities. So in other words, if something you're looking at isn't possible, doesn't seem possible, somebody else says, yeah, no, think of it as being, okay, the day may be off-putting, but tomorrow might not be. That's a way of looking at endless possibilities. If you're facing a rejection, we don't like that. Well, you may be rejected today. You got two choices. Can I try again and do it a little bit differently? Maybe. Can I just abandon it and do something else? Probably. Listen to what your soul, your heart, your insides are telling you, and then go with that. A message from Archangel Sandalphon today. With my feet on the earth and my head in heaven, I deliver your prayers directly to the divine and return the answers back to you. Now, Sandalphon is part of the Thronins. Metatron is one, and Orion is another. Orion, it is said, is all part of the soul of star people and has not really been in human form. Biblical texts say that Metatron and Sandalphon were. One of them, I think, was called Enoch. Anyway, I digress. But when these somewhat humans ascended from the physical into the non-physical, the great creators said, you've done your work, we're ascending you, and Sandalphon sits on the side of God. It's known as he who sees God, just like Michael. My prayers are always heard and always answered. We have to believe it. I receive angelic guidance with perfect clarity. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I don't get angelic guidance and I don't know where it's clear because it's as fuzzy as makes no odds. Well, I'm going to challenge that and tell you all you're not listening or you're not paying attention to the signs. Now, there's a little bit of a challenge when it comes to paying attention. Some of us, when we're learning about how to read the signs, read the intuition, go intently into looking at absolutely everything in a very literal way. It's normal. That is completely normal. Pay attention, watch out for the signs, look for the clues. It is normal. They do show up, but in really subtle ways. So, I think myself included, when I was looking at becoming or doing or whatever a spirit, I don't even know if I am a spiritual teacher. I just share what I know and what I learn. I was so bent on trying to see an angel in all its glory that it got really upsetting when other spiritual teachers talk about how an angel showed up at the foot of their bed and tralali-doodle all the day and it was a lovely day on a carousel. Well, that never happened for me. And I got frustrated and be like, well, you know what? This isn't my deal. However, what was my deal was colour and shapes and outlines and almost like holograms. You're not really sure what that is. You just know it's something. That was my sign. You don't have to have the literal translation of the non-physical messages to get the message. You do not have to have the literal translation of non-physical to get the non-physical message. In fact, I'd say don't look for a physical transfer. Don't look for a physical translation because you won't get it. Non-physical is non-physical. Angels do not have genders. It's not a man or a woman. That's what biblical texts want you to believe. There's a divine feminine and a divine masculine counterpart. Hello, Faith. Faith is a divine feminine counterpart to Archangel Michael. Faith is part of a trilogy. Faith, hope, charity. And Faith's message is this whole week, I am safe and protected by angels. Cloak of protection. Your cloak of protection could be magenta. My cloak of protection could be blue. Somebody else's cloak of protection could be emerald green. Just make sure it's bright, it's flashy, and think of Harry Potter in the invisibility cloak. Because I'm sure that's where J.K. Rowling snatched that from. She paid attention to the angels and decided, well, I'm going to plop this in the book. And so she did. Bridget is our, what is she? Well, she's kind of like the Celtic goddess, and you can see on her robes all four colours. See that? Autumnal, summer, spring, and winter. All four seasons represented by her robe. I rather like this. I rather like that hair. Bridget saying, get in touch with your inner fire, please, people. Follow your passion. Follow that passion. Follow no matter what that is. Be gleeful, joyful, uplifting about everything that you're doing. And other people will want to know what you're on. What is she taking? How is she able to do this? Or he or they? You know, a lot of people have been resisting the they, them, because it doesn't seem to be perfect grammar when it comes to describing our non-binary humans. You know, we have a new, what would I call it, culture of non-binary, non-gender specific, which, like, I always find something different rather interesting, but there are many who resist it, who don't like it. Well, because they don't understand it. How many of you, when, I know I was one of them, when that lovely Swedish shop that sold furniture in flat packs arrived in the United States, or wherever they arrived, big straws, yellow and blue, the last name of the person that founded them. You go along to the place, it's mobbed, there's nowhere to park, and there's people everywhere, and they're all loading up these flat pack furniture things. You get this thing home, you've got way too heavy, all in. But I feel like, well, at first it was frustrating. I didn't have written instructions, step 1, step 2. I had a bunch of stick figure pictures that I had to figure out how to put it together. However, as time went on, the bags of screws and connectors, etc., were all placed in numbered bags, and then the pieces were all given shapes. And instead of looking at all of that as being one big headache of a puzzle, I chose to see it as, this is ingenious. This is quite lovely. I think I can do this. And then the joy, which is really kind of like when we were little, we played with Lego. Children built things. They got over their ego of, I can't do this, this is ridiculous, I'm not doing this, why can't I just go buy a piece of furniture already done? Because where's the joy in that? So my question to you in all of this, have faith that everything's going to be okay, and find the joy in something different. So I went all over the place with that whole thing, but there you go. Lost and found is our fairy today. What was once lost is about to be found, thanks to the Lost and Found fairy. Sometimes she can help us find things we never even realized were lost. Have you ever had that? Oh, well, you're clearing out cupboards and drawers, which is why you got to do it almost monthly. Do it on the full moon cycle to the new moon cycle. Go through a drawer, go through a cupboard, certainly go through a closet, and look, do you need it? Do you want it? Can you put it together? Has it got its sell-by date? Is it over? That kind of thing. Now, the Lost and Found fairy collects treasures, and the Lost and Found fairies keeps them. They keep them hidden from us, they keep them hidden from whoever, but only revealing them when they're most needed. So he or she, in this case it's a woman, a female, here we go, has a I could say, what should I say? She's got this kind of, what would you say she's got? A keen eye, if you will, an attraction for things that are sparkly, shiny, glistening. Because she keeps company with magpies, crows, squirrels, kitty cats. In this picture you can see, I thought that was a raccoon, but it's actually a Siamese cat. They've got a keen eye for stuff. Anything that sparkles. So if you see things like birds, this fairy is probably quite nearby. And if you've misplaced something, either jewelry or keys or a phone or something, even your spiritual roots, call on the helpful fairy of Lost and Found, and pretty much she'll find it for you. Here's how the fairy of Lost and Found finds it. She leaves these little tidbits and clues all over the place. She might remind you to be practical. For example, if you've lost your keys, well then retrace your steps. This Lost and Found fairy appears in the autumn, She is a bit like the animals that bury things under the leaves. Have you ever done that? I know I've done that. I've been raking the leaves and put the rake down. The leaves drop on top of the rake, and then I find it again in March when I'm like, oh, well, there it is. The Lost and Found Fairy reminds us that it's okay to lose things perhaps you never really needed them anyway. There might be a time and a purpose that has served you, that they've done. It's got its expiration date, but there's no need to cry. Certainly, you know that saying, don't cry over spilt milk. That could be the message for you today. She brings, don't cry over the message that she brings is really what I want to say. Let it go. Get a cloth, clean it up. Then go out and buy some more milk if you're crying over spilt milk. That's all I've got to say about that. The fairies, I say, are quite literally. They're literal. They will be mischievous if you want them to be. And if you want to play with the fairies, you've got to play. You've got to bring the game. Because there's a lot of times where, once I started tuning into fairies, Gertrude, Beatrice, they're there. They go hiding a lot. You can't see them. And sometimes when I say, okay, come on, you two, bring me a card, one slaps out. In other words, they're like, don't be so bolshy. Don't be so pushy. Here's your card. Do something with it. There is that. Fairies are that realm that lives between the angelic and the human. However, they're not seen by everybody. And there are fairies that are up to mischief. As long as you're good to the earth, as long as you're good to nature, as long as you're good to animals, as long as you're good, and you really do appreciate all of that, you're going to be on the fine side of the fairies. In fact, you can open your window if it's not too cold or not too hot. Let in the brownies. The brownies come and help you clean up. They don't do the work for you. However, they'll pop in and show you what needs to be tidied and cleaned. They may even give you that little beat of a drum or something to get you going, to get you into the cleaning mode. I'm waffling on and I got to get to court. Listen, my friends, I love you. I will be back tomorrow with another one. Have a great day. Thanks for all your likes, subscriptions, and your glorious comments. Till tomorrow, big love. Bye for now.